Good morning, everyone. Welcome to 1 Million Cups. Good morning, everyone. All right, there we go. Slide these out of the way. I'm Milton Jeffrey. I'm one of the organizers this morning. I'm here with Zach, Stephanie, Courtney, and Anna. And I'd like to welcome you again to 1 Million Cups. Do we have any first-time visitors here today? All right, well, welcome. Let's give them a round of applause for today. Any of our 1 Million Cups veterans here every week? Let's see those hands. All right, welcome back. See you back there, Ben. Hey. All right, so for our first-time visitors, 1 Million Cups is essentially a weekly educational program founded by the Kauffman Foundation. And each week we have two presenters come and tell us about their journey. And what they do is they'll present for 6 minutes. We'll then open it up to our panelists and then to the audience for a Q&A for about 15 to 20 minutes. To get things started, I'd first like to introduce our guest panel today. We've got Tommy Saunders and Lawrence Andre.
Hi, my name is Tommy Saunders. I have a fitness company, FEWDM Fitness. It just stands for Everybody Who Doubts Me. We design and manufacture fitness products.
Lawrence Andre, personal leadership trainer on an epic journey to innovate in the leadership development space, leveraging many of my entrepreneurial skills and toolboxes to do that.
Thank you. To get things started, we are going to welcome to the stage Brooke Bobe from Pinsight Media. We're very excited to have Pinsight here in the house today. Pinsight Media is the only mobile data company that connects brands to audiences with first-party carrier data. We're going to let Brooke come and tell you all about it. Welcome, Brooke.
Okay, just a quick show of hands. How many people are familiar with Pinsight Media? Okay, that's a decent start. As Milton mentioned, we are local. We're down at 9th and Walnut. Our business is about connecting brands to audiences. Our brand has been around since 2012. And what our business is about is we mainly fall into two areas. One, our media business, and two, our data business. So we are sitting on really a mountain of first-party carrier data, and we're all about helping brands get insights into their users. So if they're out trying to connect with their audience, we are targeting the right audiences and not throwing away requests, as we say. The other part of our business is our media business. So here's some of our product offerings, just a quick overview. One, if you are an existing publisher or a developer, the marketplace is flooded with different kinds of apps. It's really about how can you acquire really high quality users. We have exclusive placements that we actually sell and have some great proven success stories there. We also sell notifications, so if you're trying to engage users, we have all kinds of custom language that we can put in those to help with user acquisition, downloads, those kind of things. We're also a monetization service, so if you have an existing app, we can help you add ads to your app. There really is no such thing as a free app, as everyone knows, and so we can really help publishers help monetize those. And the last little slide over there is something from our analytics business. So it's actually really interesting when we work with local businesses and they have the aha moment from some of our carrier data. So if you're looking at 4 individuals, maybe let's say males between the ages of 30 and 35, you might think originally you would serve them the same ad. But when you dig into it and look at some of our insights that we have from a mobile perspective, some of their mobile behavior, some of their mobile website information, what they're interested in, lifestyle things, you would actually treat those people very, very differently. And that's what some of our analytics and insights can tell you. But the product that we're down here to talk to today is, we call it Pinsight Rollout. We've actually been working with the Sprint Accelerator for the last several years, and we had an aha moment that helped us come up with this product. And that was every startup that we talk to talks about how advertising is going to be a big part of their strategy, their revenue strategy. They're not really quite sure how to do it, and a lot of times they might have a mobile online presence, but they don't have the money or funding to develop an app. So we actually help with that. So we develop an app for a startup business, no cost. What we do is we embed our monetization solutions. We help them acquire users. Once we reach a certain threshold of users, we give them insights into who are your users, so we know how to go acquire additional users. And so we help them take a revenue engine essentially to market. Once we've paid back our app development, the startup owns the app. It is their baby. They can do with it what they want, or we can go ahead and do like additional monetizations or go to the next version of the app. And that's really what I have for you today. What questions do you have for me about our program or our offerings?
Thank you, Brooke. We're going to let our expert panel start. Looks like Lawrence has got the mic.
Brooke, you described the aha moment of founders wanting to monetize their apps, and I agree. I've heard this story several times. So take us through what you did with that aha moment in terms of, okay, so you see this pattern repeating itself in the entrepreneurial community. At what point did you explore that a little further and say, is there a real business opportunity for us at Pinsight to follow this, and what steps of validation did you go through before you took the step of building out a product suite for them?
Okay, so first of all, we are actually a really large publisher ourselves. A lot of people don't know that. So just a little Kansas City trivia for you. How many people in the audience use CBS Sports? Anybody? That application? Okay. So that was originally called Sportscaster. It was developed by our company under the name brand One Louder Apps. CBS later came in and bought it. We still continue to do all their design work and all their development. We also have Bacon Reader, Tweetcaster, One Weather. Those are some of our apps, and StarShop. So we have in our whole app portfolio over 55 million users. So we have some street cred. So we've actually gone out and proven out how you do this, how we monetize, what are the right strategies, who are the right partners to work with. We have a direct sales team. So we have a proven model. The other thing that we hear from startups or even more established publishers is if you look at the advertising ecosystem, it's really confusing. There are hundreds of different partners in it. How do they fit in? Who do I call first? Crazy confusing. We've figured that out, and so we feel like we have the experience to really help people. Like I said, the street cred to have a solution that's easy to go. And then we've taken on the financial risk of, hey, we're gonna pay for that app development to really help the startup community and help their businesses grow.
So one of the challenges that I've found in my own entrepreneurial journey is there's a lot of things that I can do, but that doesn't mean I necessarily should do them. And so you have street cred, you have the ability to do this, but what led you, what research or what exploration, discovery led you to the fact that this is a really good model for Pinsight to go down this path with the rollout product?
Well, we've done this at least for one entrepreneur. They're called Sickweather. They actually went through the Sprint Accelerator. We developed their app. We actually paid back the app monetization in 2 months, which is pretty incredible. So we had around $40,000 in app development cost. We took it out to our direct sales team, brought in a sponsorship opportunity, and paid it right back. And that business continues to flourish. So we do have some history and experience there.
Hi. Question with the data analytics that you're giving out. I know for us and some other startups that I've talked to, they get this data and you don't know what to do with it. You know, how much in depth do you go with the creative to get males above 55 to interact with the app more, or, you know, females 25 to 35? What type of content that company is producing to engage with that? How far along the creative side do you go into whenever you give that data back?
Okay, so I'm going to answer that in a couple different ways. So as a publisher, you might actually be surprised that publishers and businesses, a lot of them, I hear this time and time again, they have no idea who their audience is. Or they think, you know, maybe like say it's a restaurant, we did this recently with a restaurant, they said, hey, we're a popular kind of sports type restaurant, we think that our audience is 40 to 50-year-old males. When we did our analysis and looked at the mobile data, we said, actually, you know what, you have a pretty big female following, believe it or not. If we go look down at the people who download your apps, so that is actionable insight that you can take. And if you know that you have a female audience, when you've thought all along it's been a male audience, you might actually construct that creative in a different way and target that audience in a totally different way. So those insights drive your creative development, and then it also it tells you exactly who to go after. So if you know from your insights that people over the age of 50, let's say, are not interested in your brand, don't go spend ad request, waste it on that user. Let's go after the people who really care about your brand and grow it.
Okay. And so I guess that was more, do you help with the creative or the strategy behind going after that, or is that you leave that to the company?
I would say it depends. Normally, if we are working with an agency, a lot of times they will want to dictate the creative. That's totally fine. We can work in that model. We do have designers in-house where we have design creatives for brands. So we can go either path depending on the customer's needs.
And I think the app development is awesome. My question is, how do you pick how many companies you can design apps for? How many startups? Do you have a limit? Can you design as many come to you?
Right now, our target for this year is around 60, but we have some wiggle room in there for sure. And the way that we pick them, really, we don't have tight parameters on it, but I'll tell you some things that we're looking at, and I'll tell you some kind of people that have approached us. So one of the things that we're looking for is if you're an existing business, maybe you have a mobile web presence or some kind of established business, that helps. We need to know when we go into this, let's say that you are somebody who wants to do news content, and maybe it's just an idea in your head, like where are you gonna get that news content? What are the rules around that news content? If you wanna go and get content from the New York Times, are they gonna let you do that? We have to make sure that you understand that and you're committed to the business. If you have a 9-to-5 job and aren't gonna keep your content fresh, it might not be something that we're really interested in pursuing. So we are working with a company called Everhance. They own a product called didyouknowblog.com. They're perfect. They have an established user base. They just haven't gotten into the app space, and that's what we're helping them with. We were also approached recently by someone who is in a very specific women's niche, and it was just too small of an audience that we thought we could ever really pay ourselves back, so we said no on that one. So I would just say that make sure that your ideas are baked. If there's rules around like use of content or whatever that type of thing might be, those need to be kind of fleshed out. By all means, contact us, and if we feel like you're not there, we can help you say, here's 5 things that we think you really need to go research before we'd be able to take this idea further. So we'll provide guidance back to you.
Just one more question on that, just specifically of anybody out here that's trying to develop an app, what are those 5 things or a couple of things that they need to come to you to figure out before they come to you about developing an app?
Okay. So I would say, what is the potential for this market? If you're thinking about doing an app, and let's say a fitness app, how many people are in that space that you're interested in? Is it a really crowded marketplace? If you're trying to pull in content, for example, what are those use rights around it? If you have an existing system, maybe like a content management system, do you have an API accessible? Those are some things that we're going to ask you. Do you have a more tendency to lean towards Android and iOS? And we can make recommendations around that. We'll assist with some of that as well. So those type of questions.
So Brooke, a question for you here on the right. For all of the, let's just say, garage startups that are either watching online right now or here in the audience, and they've got a concept, it's fully baked out, they've done the market research, they're literally still like in the bootstrap phase, but they've got the idea and they've done the homework, and now they're ready to try to start funding it themselves.
Yep.
What would be the next step for that entrepreneur saying, hey, I just saw this rollout program, maybe I'd like to partner with them since they can solve the monetization and pay for my app development?
Right. So you just contact us at pensitemedia.com/rollout. We actually have some handouts. Nicole, if you'll raise your hand. You can reach us right afterwards. We'll give you a rollout on our program, or you can contact us through our website, or I'm happy to give you a business card afterwards.
We also want to open it up to the audience. If you've got a question, just raise your hand, and we'll be moving around with the mics. We've got a question.
Coming to you. Who's winning? Is it you, Milton? Is it me? Okay.
It's you.
Are there e-commerce models that fit into apps in your business in particular?
Are you asking for rollout? Like, would it be considered an e-commerce one?
Right, a specialized, and we can talk about it later, but specialized e-commerce, or is this mostly publishing or content related?
No, I'm sorry if I give you that impression. It could be anything. So yes, e-commerce, it could be fashion, it could be anything. I was just using content because it's an easy one.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Another quick question for you here, Brooke. So tell us, who's your ideal client? Who's your ideal company? And on the flip side of that, who would you say is not?
Who is our ideal customer? I would just say a business who is dedicated to putting something out there, keeping whatever the material is, whether it's content, whether it's fitness activity, keeping it fresh, really being engaged in it, and someone who has market potential. And then someone who's probably not our ideal candidate, I would just say if it's just a really, really narrow niche, we would probably pass on it.
Got a question on this side that I am genuinely curious about. So, funding-wise, I'm sure you guys are doing fine. You're kind of sponsored by Sprint or some sort of correlation there, right? So, what is your biggest problem that you're running into in Kansas City? Are you having a hard time finding development talent, anything like that?
So Pensight is a business, or we're specific to rollout?
Both. Roll out first, but I'm curious about Pensight in general.
I would say on development talent, we are always looking for development talent. So if you look at our office, it is heavily on the tech side. We have a team of data scientists, so we are always scoping out those type of people as potential employees for our business, absolutely.
So that's kind of the biggest issue is the tech hiring side?
I would say that's definitely a local challenge. Trying to think of other challenges.
It's a good problem to have if you have to think that hard. It's fantastic.
I would say hiring that's one of our challenges.
Cool.
Also, Brooke, a question here. You mentioned in your presentation that with SickWeather, the app was actually paid back through the monetization. Was it in 2 months?
Yeah, it was a 2-month payback. That is one of the beauties of Pensight is we do have a direct sales team. A lot of folks in advertising, they don't have that. I mean, it's kind of, it's surprising to me, but we do have a sales team both in California and New York City. And so they are able to go out, work directly with agencies, directly with brands, and bring in those bigger dollars. So in the case of SickWeather, it was a sponsorship opportunity. Typically, a sponsorship opportunity is a higher price point. And so, we had that $50,000 price tag paid back 2 months. So I think that's pretty incredible myself.
What do you typically expect it would take a startup to pay you back? What do you guys normally think it would take as far as time-wise?
I would say that our expectation is we have it paid back within a 1-year period. That would be our general expectation. Of course, we're always trying to exceed that. I'm looking for those big dollar price tags like sponsorships to really get it and pay it back quickly.
And so what happens if a company doesn't pay you back, or if something changes with them internally, what happens then?
So we do have an option through our program if for some reason it doesn't go well or we're not paid back, we do offer an option to the entrepreneur to buy us out. So let's say that the app development, and we'll be very upfront with what those costs are. So let's say that we scoped out your app and we figured that it would cost us $40,000 to develop the app. And through the process of the year, we paid back $20,000. We have the option that you can pay us back that rest of the $20,000. We hand over the code, it's yours.
Got a question here in the front.
So can you keep the ad revenue engine? It was ads, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So can you keep that revenue engine in there long term? And would you guys receive a portion of that after it's been paid back? Or how does after payment work?
Yeah, I mean, our hope is that we are long-term partners, absolutely. And so yes, we can keep those ads in long-term. One thing that's kind of unique about us is we do have folks on staff who help with ad placement. And then as the ecosystem evolves, we might say, you know what, we originally had this placement, but we're really seeing these other ad placements make more revenue or might be a better solution for you. So we would continue to refresh that update. Once we are over with the payback period, then we go to a rev share model. And then after a 1 year period, you are free to go to another partner, but we hope that you stay with us long term.
One in the middle right here.
Hi, Brooke.
Hi.
I think one question that a lot of startups grapple with is this notion of should I actually build a mobile app? And your solution helps, obviously, with one of the major hurdles, which is just the investment involved in developing the app. But even so, it's not always a no-brainer that a company should do an app. They might be better off focusing their time and energy and just having an excellent website that's either via responsive design or a specific mobile website handling their mobile needs via the mobile web. So how do you guys advise the companies that are coming to talk to you about should they even do an app in the first place? Of course, you guys would help with the app development, but is it still a good idea? Remember, if you develop an app, now you've got to go out and get installs of that app and users for that app. It's not easy. Just the marketing side of it is another huge part in addition to the development itself.
Yeah, Good question. There was actually an article that was written recently that talks about how a lot of publishers who are not in the mobile app space are really, that's a big focus for this year, and that they should be getting back into it. I'm not saying it makes sense for every person out there. And so we can help with some of those things, like just looking at the competitive landscape would be one indicator. The other thing is, like you said, if you go it alone, I mean, best of luck to you, but it is really hard in terms of like, if you're a new person out there, you don't maybe have the street cred, you don't have the relationships with some of the big advertising partners, how do you go and acquire those users? So figuring out some of those strategies, that's one reason that we try to package this in a way that we take all those guessworks out and we take the big problems that you're gonna be facing and we try to answer for those.
We've got a couple of questions actually from our Twitter feed.
Okay.
And one of those, we've noticed that they've kind of been asking if you can expand a little bit more on how you can partner with existing startups that maybe already have some type of app in the marketplace.
Okay, so a couple things. So one, if you have an app in the marketplace, we are happy to work with you on a monetization solution within your app. Like I said earlier, we can make recommendations for you. What would that look like? We'll actually take screenshots of your app, mock them up for you, and say, here's the placements that we would recommend. The other thing that we can offer is user acquisition is really important for everyone, whether you're an established publisher or developer or somebody who's just starting out. We have solutions for all levels of that, and so we can certainly help you with that. The other thing that we offer through both Rollout and then if you already have an app, we can also help you. If you take our SDK, another benefit that we're now offering is you get free in-app notifications to keep those users engaged. So one of the big things is if you have an existing app, you want to keep bringing those users back in and keeping them engaged with, you know, I have a new game or I have a new, you're 3 points away from earning some reward or something like that. You want to keep those messages really fresh. We have tools to help you do that. So certainly we work with publishers that whether they're new or existing.
You also just mentioned the SDK. Tell us a little bit about the tools that are included in the SDK.
Okay, so one is in-app notifications or in-app messaging to your existing user base. We also, if you take our SDK, we will give you a free analytics report. It's the snapshot that I showed earlier. Understand your demographics, understand your users, what other apps are they interested in. It gives you all kinds of insights into who your user base is. And then if interested, we also have other ways to acquire users that we can help with.
One of our other Twitter questions was, it seems that they're curious about the evolution of Pinsight from Sprint or kind of how that came about. Can you tell us just a little bit about the history there?
Sure, so Pinsight is actually a subsidiary of Sprint. We do the mountain of carrier data that we sit on partially is from Sprint. We do have some other carriers that we also work with. And so some of our exclusive app placements are on Sprint devices. The other thing that we do in our publisher portfolio is we have exclusive access to monetize anything that's Sprint branded. You know, kind of back to the street cred theme that I was talking about earlier, one of the things that, because we have such a large publisher portfolio that's exclusive, we do have some really unique relationships with advertisers in the industry that a lot of folks who are just a standalone developer, they just don't have because of our size and our volume. And that just means higher revenue, higher CPMs.
And how large is the Pinsight Media team right now?
We are sitting about, I want to say 110.
Wow.
Got one right here.
Can you give me the typical number of man hours it takes to develop one of your apps?
I would say that we're working on right now that it took around, it's about a 4-month process, the one that we're working on right now. 3 to 4 months, I would say is about average. That does include, I will say this, so if you come to us and say you want to develop an app, we are going to work with you on what we call wireframes. You know, what does that layout look like? We will work with you in a consultative approach. What can we do in that app that's going to really make you stand out in the marketplace? That's going to be really key to your success. The partner that we're working with that I mentioned earlier, you know, we have weekly meetings to talk about progress on the app, what it's looking like, what the wireframes look like, any kind of feedback. And so it's a very involved, engaging process.
We've got a question here in the front. I was going to say, don't want to toot our own horn, but I actually have the opportunity of working with Brooke and working with her clients in some of the development process. And I mean, it's a really engaging process that you guys have set in place. It's really awesome. Zach, I'll let you go.
Hey, let me just ask you about consultation. How does it typically work? How in depth can you get? How much time do you give? Do you charge for consultation going into the possibility of an app?
Well, no charge for consultation. We generally, on the consultations that we've done, we spend, I would say, 1 to 2 hours. It depends on how large your app and how complex it is. So I would say normally it's around an hour or 2 that we'll sit down, spend with you, talk about your existing business, what we're thinking, those kind of things for the initial visit.
Thank you.
So I've got a question, and I'm going to sit right here. Grant Gooding's not here today, so I'm going to put on my Grant Gooding hat and sit in his seat. So all of this seems, I think a part of the reason that we're having a hard time getting questions today is all this seems so on the up and up. I mean, why would you not do this if you were a business, right? So what's the downside?
We don't think there is one. And that's the other thing is there are a couple folks on in the market today that do something like you can license our platform, but you never own it. And so we really feel like this is something that's different. And we've gotten great reaction to it. We're getting ready to go visit a bunch of tech stores across the United States and roll this program out to them as well. And our feedback's been great. So I hope that you all decide to do it. I can't think of a downside. I don't know why you wouldn't do it.
All right, you stumped me, or Grant, whoever I am right now.
So are you saying, Zach, that it sounds too good to be true?
It maybe does a little bit. So speaking from the point of view of Bloom, which is a local financial company, I guess our main worry that I would think of off the bat would be, taking away any of our decision-making ability within the development process or within the branding process, something like that. So how much, do we have full creative control? Is there any limit to that?
I'm just looking across to see if we have Everhands in the, no. So I'll give you the example of the current one that we're working on. This individual from Everhands, he came from a media agency, he's got a lot of experience with what a great user flow should look like, and he has been very consultative with us, and he's given us a lot of feedback that we've taken and designed right into the app. I think the only thing I would say to that is there has to be some limits. If we are going to kind of agree on a scope, I want to stick to that at some point and know that we have to pay it back. So I don't want to say, sky's the limit, we'll do anything that you want. But your voice is very important. We want the app to reflect your brand, your personality, your color scheme, those kind of things we're absolutely going to respect. So yes, your voice is really important. The app, it's your app. We want it to look like your brand.
And again, if I partner with you and you build this app for me, right? You're not necessarily taking any equity position in my company. You're not necessarily an owner. It's simply a partnership on the monetization
That's right.
aspect. And at the end of that, when that monetization is paid back, I actually own my app, right?
That's right.
Yeah. So in the 500-page legal document that they have, just kidding.
3, I think we're at 4 pages. It's very short.
Yes.
What time do we have, guys?
Got one more question.
Brooke, one final question for you. As always, as a community, what can we do to help support Pinsight?
What can you do? Context about rollout. If you have local needs, we love to focus on the Kansas City market. So if there's things that we can help you with, if we can help you understand your audiences and connect with them or help you develop an app, contact us, reach out. This is definitely a space that we love and we like to help you grow your business. And that helps us grow our business.
Wonderful, thank you. All right, thank you, Brooke. Fantastic job. We've got a couple of announcements for you all. First up, KC SourceLink, the 5th annual Battle of the Brands is coming up. Please submit your nominations by February 12th. That's this Friday, so you've got 2 days to get on that. Also, we have Second Fridays coming up Friday as well, 4:30 at Village Square, and they're going to be doing a beer potluck. So I don't know who doesn't like beer. I'm into it. So please be sure to bring your favorite six-pack. They've also requested if you happen to play an instrument, jam sessions are encouraged, so bring that guitar. Intentional collisions at the Sprint Accelerator will be February 16th, 10 a.m. to 4:30. Cybersecurity is the theme of the month, so please attend that as well. In addition, we have our infamous Mug Club. So if you have been to 1 Million Cups 10 or more times, please raise your hand. Okay, very good. Now, if you've been to 1 Million Cups 10 or more times and you have not received a mug, please keep your hand up. All right, Milton's scanning the room. Perfect.
I think we found someone.
Ding, ding, ding.
I think it's Ari. Please stand up, tell us who you are, why you're here, why you love coming.
Awesome. Hey, good morning. I'm Ari Kern. I am Community and Programs Manager over at the Sprint Accelerator. I just love coming to see everybody, reconnect, meet a lot of new people supporting the startup community. And actually, I'm kind of always looking for people to join our mentor network. So a lot of the awesome people up on stage are on my list. So thank you.
Thank you, Ari.
Quick photo op.
Now, if you didn't receive a mug today and you've been here more than 10 times, raise your hand again. All right, keep coming. We'll be looking for you next time.
Great, thanks, Milton. Okay, up next, we have our second presenter of the morning, and we'd like to give a warm welcome to Aaron Wright with Minute Movement. Minute Movement is offering a revolutionary way to do fitness. So, Tommy, we're looking at you for some good questions. All right, let's welcome Aaron.
Thank you. Good morning, Kansas City, 1 Million Cups. So my name is Aaron Wright. I'm a yoga instructor and a personal trainer, but I haven't always been that. For 20 years, I'd been sitting at a desk, and I gained 60 pounds and turned pre-diabetic, as well as, frankly, depressed. I wasn't able to move around. I wasn't able to play with my kids as much as I wanted. And it put me into a scenario where I knew that exercise and eating right was going to be the way to get my health up and get me moving, and just get me feeling better again. And can I see just a raise of hands? How many people work at a desk most of the day? 10 hours, 12 hours a day? Same like me. Same like her. That's not me, by the way. With hair. So what I did is my little brother had called me to be his best man at his wedding. And so I was very honored by that, but I was going to see people at that wedding that I hadn't seen since my wedding. And I was a little intimidated by that with all the photography and all that type of thing. And so I decided that what I would do is I would draw on my experience in martial arts, yoga, as well as strength training, and I would start putting together a little program that I would do for 1 minute at a time at the beginning of every hour throughout the day. Frankly, I really didn't think that it would work. Matter of fact, I didn't think it would work so much as that I didn't even tell my own wife that I was going to start doing this. But I did. And so 3 weeks later, my wife looked at me and she goes, "Honey, are you working out again?" And so that was enough of a motivator to kind of keep me going. And 4.5 years later, I've been able to maintain the weight off and still feel as good as I possibly can. So then there's a gentleman named Tad who came into my office, and Tad was about 320 pounds, was diabetic, and his doctor had told him that it was very important for him to start exercising, and really had a prescription for exercise. And he saw what I was doing, and he came in and he said, "Brother Aaron, I need to talk to you." And he told me the story. And he said, "What I need is I need your help. And I see what you're doing, and it's really working, and I want your help on this." And so really that was the day that Minute Movement was really born, because it was no longer about me, my own vanity, and about what it was doing for me. It was about what this could do for the world and other office workers that were out there. 76% of Americans are either overweight or have at least one preventable lifestyle disease. The CDC has said that 21% of people get enough exercise on a regular basis, which means that 79% of people don't. That's a pretty significant statistic. So Minute Movement is, like she said, a revolutionary way to do fitness. It's fast, it's effective, and it's sustainable. And it's also systematic. We provide a system, a way to go about this. And it's one of the things that becomes accessible in your own life, just because most everybody can give a minute in order to go to the gym. Most people don't have time to go to the gym and spend hours, hour and a half and things like that. However, a minute seems pretty doable. So I could really tell you more about Minute Movement, but it's probably more important that you experience a Minute Movement. So if everybody would please stand up. This is going to be the most interactive 1 million cups that you've ever been to. All right? All right, so I'm going to take you through your first minute movement. All right, the way that we start a minute movement is we stand with our feet about 3 feet apart. We bend at the knees, and this is a traditional martial arts horse stance. All right, so you're going to bend at the knees. You're going to tuck your pelvis. You're going to engage your abs, all right? So you might even grab your abs and really feel those, okay? Lift your chest up, shoulders back. And on this one, we're going to take 2 fists. We're going to push one down and one up. So this is an isometric move, okay? So we're going to push down like this, and then in 30 seconds, we're going to switch that hand, all right? And I'll coach you through it, okay? So go ahead and stand up. So sitting is the new smoking. Most everybody's heard that. But what we do with Minute Movement is that we always start with gratitude. So one of the things I want to make sure that I mentioned while I was here at 1 Million Cups is that I am so thankful for Ewing Kauffman to be such a leader and to be such a visionary that he was able to put all of this together and eventually affect so many entrepreneurs in our community as well as throughout the world. It's amazing. So that is what I am thankful for. I want you to think of what you're thankful for. So we're going to give 100% while we're doing this exercise. We're going to make sure that we're really engaging our arms. We're not going to be nice and soft like this. We're going to really engage the arms. You might shake a little bit, and then we're going to push on that. Make sure that you breathe deep. I'll coach you through that, and this is going to help you reboot your body and go on. All right, we ready? Okay, first we have to smile. All right, nice, nice. All right, here we go. Big deep breath, get back down. All right, there you go. So you're going to make sure that you're lifting up, push hard, make sure that back is nice and straight. If you can go down further, go ahead and go down. If you need to come up, this is an individual thing. Make sure that back is straight. And then for every 15 seconds, you're going to push a little harder. All right. Breathe deep. Now think of you at your office while you're doing this. And it might look a little silly, but you know what? You're doing some good stuff. Switch your hands. Push hard. If you can go lower, do it. Now the saying is smile when it sucks. So smile, there you go, nice. You guys look good. All right, last 15 seconds, push as hard as you can. Make sure that back is nice and straight. Breathing. All right, we're almost done. All right, stand up. Now reach down like this. Big deep breath up. Shake it off. How do you feel? Yeah? All right. Go ahead and have a seat. So that's what I do 8 times a day. It's several different exercises. We focus on different body parts and have different movements and things like that. But that's one of our focus movements. So 1 Million Cups, I have a special place in my heart for Valentine's Day for 1 Million Cups. Excuse me. A couple of years ago, I was at 1 Million Cups, and I was standing right outside that door, and I was telling a friend of mine about Minute Movement, and I said, you know what I need? I need a doctor, and I need some money in order to make Minute Movement a reality. And as I was talking to him a little bit longer, I said, hey, great to see you. Started walking out to the parking lot, and this little gentleman followed me out, who happened to be a doctor here in Kansas City, and he said, excuse me, I'm sorry, but I happened to overhear what you just said, and I'd like to know more about your business. And so we sat down and I was happy to talk to him. So for 3 hours, we talked about Minute Movement and where it was going and kind of the implications of what it could do throughout the world and throughout Kansas City. And then he said, you know what, I want to invest in your company. And so, you know, I don't know how many entrepreneurs ever really get to have that conversation where somebody's coming after you for that. But it was fantastic. 3 weeks later, he invested in our company and is still one of our biggest cheerleaders, as well as a personal friend. And he was able to really help Minute Movement get out there. So what we've been doing is, for the last couple of years, we've been going to corporations and like Garmin, Shining Mission Hospital, things like that, to take Minute Movement into their communities. And that's been working slowly. And one of the issues that we've had is just getting enough traction, just getting enough users. So when I go out and speak, we usually have a lot of people, that kind of spike as far as the number of users that we have. But that's one of the issues that we've been having. And the timer never actually started, so I'm assuming that I'm six minutes in. We're good? We're good? Okay. So that's what we have. I open it up to questions. And how can I help? Yeah.
Hi. First, I'd like to say I love the concept of just getting people moving, getting people living healthier lives. Yeah. My first question is, how do you make money?
Sure, that's a great question. And we have 4 different main products right now. And one of those products is our Quick Start book, which is a 5-week challenge. And then this is what we sell to corporations as well as to individuals. It's really just a 5-week challenge. Kind of gets everybody started within that, gets them up to par. We also have a membership model that we use that is a daily email that gets sent out, and those usually have a coaching and encouragement blurb as well as 3 different exercises. One of those is peaceful, which is a posture and breathing exercise. The next is focused, which is an isometric, which is what you guys did today. And then the third is an energized, more of your classic, maybe some air squats, burpees, things like that. They're a little bit more vigorous. And then we also have some minute meditations that are out there, as well as we have a product called Human 101 that we developed with our behavior specialist. And that is based on the attachment theory. So it really helps get to the psychological part of what holds us back. Why do we feel like we're always overwhelmed? Why do we have the interactions that we have and stuff?
Okay. The fitness market is huge.
Yes.
And so who are you going after? Who's your target market?
So corporations was initially my target market. So ultimately it's the busy people. It's people who say, hey, I just don't have time to go to the gym. I just don't have time to do this. Go to a yoga class and things like that. And so busy people in general. One of the things that we've done is we've had a lot of success with those who have some chronic diseases, such as diabetes as well as Parkinson. And then I've worked with some seniors that have had amazing results. I worked with a group of senior ladies, about 18 of them, and so I went into the group and was like, what do you girls really want to get out of this? And they were like, we want our balance. As you get older, then your balance just really starts to go. And their fear was essentially having to go to a home. And so within a 5-week period, I had this beautiful lady. She goes, Aaron, I've got to show you this. And within a 5-week period, this lady who had problems with balance was able just to stand with just on one leg and then put it out and just stuck it. And I was so impressed. I mean, even with my own program, I was blown away.
Okay. You said you didn't have very much traction. Talk to me about just looking around. I'm watching everybody do it, and it looked like about 50% of the people weren't doing it because they know you can't get a good workout in 1 minute. And so tell me, how are you solving that problem? I mean, like you said, busy people that are going to the gym are too busy and have an understanding of fitness.
Yes.
They're going to see this and say, okay, you can't get them. You cannot. They're not even going to look at your videos if it says 1 minute workout. So tell me, how are you addressing that, and how are you addressing the education, the spiritual, everything else that's going by? Because people in the fitness industry or you're marketing to are skeptical about everything.
Absolutely, absolutely. So those that do maybe your CrossFit and those type of things, who are gods and goddesses of fitness and those pinnacles of people, even if they're sitting every day, they need to get up and move. I mean, our hearts are not meant to be the only thing pumping our blood through our systems throughout the day while we're sitting at our desk. I mean, it's just not meant to be that way. Our bodies and our muscle is supposed to help get that blood flow going, as well as getting better oxygen to the cells. Now, as on the educational part of that, is that something's better than nothing. I mean, literally, the clients that I have do absolutely nothing. They are completely overwhelmed, and they have no They have no game plan for how am I going to get physical activity into my life. And so something is better than nothing. This starts to elevate. I mean, what we've seen is I've got Tad, actually, who has lost 85 pounds just doing minute movement, is now starting to do half marathons. You know, this is a guy who literally was dying with diabetes, who is now, you know, starting to get into the realm of health. And one of the best things about minute movement that it does is that it brings your awareness throughout your day. So if you're working hard and you're doing a full minute, because you could feel that in your legs, I'm sure. Yes? Heads nodding, yes. So if not, then you weren't trying hard enough. But you can feel that you're getting some kind of reaction going on in your body, and by stacking those up, I mean, literally, the only workouts that I did was 8 times a day minute movements, you know. And then when I started adding in you know, making a better choice instead of going to the vending machine and getting a candy bar or something like that, you know, you start getting some trail mix, you start eating salads at your lunch and those types of things, and then that's when we really have a revolution and a transformation in lifestyle.
Okay, I think that I guess my question is, I think everybody in the room knows that you need to diet and exercise. Everybody knows that we need to work out and eat right and make healthy decisions, and once they get to the education piece, anything that you're doing is going to be beneficial to you. If you're doing it for a minute or you're doing it for an hour, you're going to be healthier, better off. But how are you motivating? What marketing piece are you getting somebody to say, hey, I'm going to get off the couch and I'm going to start doing something? Because if somebody's going to start doing something, how are you saying 1 minute, okay, I can't get a workout in 1 minute. All right, I'm going on to the next thing. So tell me what that gap is in the marketing that you're catching their attention for 10 seconds so they want to listen to more.
I believe that the minute movement, what I've gotten back and feedback from the clients who have done it, is that it seems attainable. You know, I can do something for a minute. I can do that for a minute. I can give it a try. And then if somebody goes through the Quick Start program, within the 5 weeks, if I can get somebody on there for 5 weeks and doing those minutes and doing them 8 times a day, they're a believer. They feel better, they lose weight, they're transforming.
What is your patent pending?
My patent pending is some of the specific exercises that we have.
Okay.
I want to come at your customer segment from a different perspective. As Tommy said, everyone in this room, there's over 100 people in this room, everyone in this room needs to exercise.
Sure.
You have what appears to be an appealing template at which to reach some people through exercise. How did you go about this increased awareness of what you were doing, how it created success for you and a couple of your clients, as you've highlighted today? How did you start to figure out, well, who in this room, who in the 100 people in this room are early adopters or people who would be targets for your first product?
Well, we started a bit just interviewing and going to different companies. A lot of wellness directors is who we went and talked to first. And then also a lot of doctors, and just trying to find out who is it that are having issues with getting to the gym, exercising. I mean, there are a large segment of people who, even though conceptually that we know that, you know, eating right and physical exercise is important, a lot of people don't know where to begin. And this becomes a great, for lack of better terms, a gateway to better understanding. But yes, really on the interviewing side of people and just asking them, you know, what is it that made you want to join Minute Movement? What is it, how does it make you feel, you know, throughout the day? But mostly through the interview process.
We would like to open up questions to the audience. If you have a question, please raise your hand.
Got one right over here.
Have you considered developing an app that serves up spiritual content?
Yes, we have considered an app since day one, as it's a perfect way to do that. Unfortunately, even within this community, there is some less than professional people and who have taken a lot of money from Minute Movement in order to do that. That's why I was so excited to hear Brooke today. Wherever you went to, there you are. Yes, an app is definitely the way that we need to go to make it accessible and to help people to really track what they're doing and that. Thank you for that.
Got one over here to your right.
So have you ever thought about when you're taking this minute movement and partnering with that with a mindful moment and like taking a moment to check in on yourself, like how am I feeling, what's going on, in addition to taking your minute movement?
Yeah, it's very important stuff. A lot of the meditations that we have 12-minute meditations, and that's what that's all about. And it's really important just to even close your eyes and to take that minute, because it's, again, like meditation, working out, going to the gym, yoga, to take 20 minutes, 30 minutes or that type of thing in order to meditate, there's not a whole lot of people who have spouses, who have kids, who have busy lives, working 2 jobs, things like that. I mean, that's real. That's really what our population is. That's who my client is. It's not necessarily those who have time of leisure who get to go and do those types of things, and I don't mean to speak, I'm not speaking ill of that, because I think that's great, because I do not see minute movement as being something that completely replaces fitness in the world. You know, it's going to shut down gyms, or that's not the way it is. I see it as a way that we're actually working with. So one of the largest gym facilities in the United States, actually I think in the world, we're working on a Train the Trainer program right now in order to train their personal trainers to show them how to do these minute movements while they're at work, so that because the concept of separation between you have a gym and you either work out or you do not. That concept right there is what we're trying to break. And what we're trying to do is say, no, hey, a little bit can get you a long way.
Got a question for you here on the left, and just for the record, my legs are still burning. Talk to me a little bit about scale here. I'm really curious about this. With this type of business model, it seems like a wise decision would be to build a community around the whole 1-minute movement, right? Are you putting any of those type of practices into play in how you market, maybe from a viral standpoint, online, YouTube channels, videos? Can people just access that 1 minute for free, so to speak?
Sure. So we have several different exercises out there that are out there for free, and that is the aspect that we're going. So one of the things that I struggle with is that I'm one guy trying to make sure that my website is, and all of those things that it takes in order for an entrepreneur. So, but that is how I see the scale and the spread of this, is those that are having the success with it, those that are actually doing the minute movement, posting. And that's why I feel, back to the app question, that's why I feel that if somebody was able to push a button and say, hey, I just did it, then that helps in spreading the message out there.
I got one more question. How do you see another fitness app that already has workouts and an app? It would be really easy for them to just add a push notification for a reminder every minute, every hour. So what is the strategy of scaling your business, especially with other fitness companies that could just add this as a feature onto their programs?
Onto what they already have.
Yeah, so how on the business side, how are you going to be different? How are you going to market different? How are you going to scale different?
Ultimately, my goal would be to give Minute Movement away, and then that being the freemium kind of product out there. What we anticipate adding is more of the psychological side of things to really help people get over those hurdles that they have, as well as fitness equipment, just things within the office that they can have, and then ultimately is the next phase to that would be our supplements, high quality additives, for food and things like that. Good question.
Question on your right.
Yes.
I wanted to say I think this has great team building and productivity potential. And I'm someone who tends to stare at the screen too much. And I don't know if anybody else, your eyes get dry and everything. Have you looked into that, how that benefits like the regular breaks and everything?
Oh, as far as for performance, it's amazing. So let's see, University of Kansas Sports and Medicine did a independent study. They wouldn't let me have anything to do with it, at a call center, and The results that we got after the 5-week test was everybody had lost weight, cholesterol lowered, blood pressure lowered, just everything a guy like me could possibly want. The interesting thing is that within that month, that was a business that had been around for I think 11 years. Within that 1 month, they had a 26% increase over the last 11-year period within that month. And just from a productivity standpoint, is taking breaks matter? Great question.
One in the back here.
So can you guys show that you have increased people's health and things like that? Any data towards that? And have you thought about approaching insurance companies? Hey, we can go in and help lower premiums at companies and using them as a revenue source?
Yeah, I just had a great conversation with Blue KC just the other day, and we look to get on their 365 platform. It will be a little bit more time, and we'll need more data showing what that is before Blue Cross Blue Shield actually or another healthcare provider actually pays for that. But yeah, great question. Yeah, insurance is definitely a route that we're going. Through other personal trainers is another way that we plan on scaling. And yeah.
Question to your left.
Yes, sir.
I commend you for the work that you're doing. I remember a time when yoga and this type of exercise was voodoo and considered to be a religious cult. So it's come a long way since that time. Something that I don't know if you've considered or not, but would it help to have a corporate study? So for instance, go into some corporation, offer them to have this program brought into the corporation for a period of time so that they could then monitor the results for their employees. And I would think possibly, I mean, I know for a fact this will help with health. That might spearhead the thing a lot quicker and go in a different direction than what's already been gone into with so many people through the gyms and all that kind of stuff, but take it right to the core of where it's actually needed.
Yes. So that study that I mentioned, we have a white paper on our website, minutemovement.com, and you get that white paper that shows the study that KU actually did. But yes, we are in the corporations and gathering data. Need a little bit more of a better way to gather the data. Just because the cost factor of having somebody going and getting their biometrics, on the front end and then also on the back end of that is a little costly for us right now.
Question in the center.
Yeah. Hey, Matthew.
Hey. So time is certainly one of our most valuable resources, right? There's 24 hours in a day, and how we split that 24-hour pie up is getting tougher and tougher for all of us. I've got the 7-minute workout app on my Pebble. I can't count how many times I sit in front of my computer and go, oh my God, it's 5 o'clock already, and have I even stood up and eaten lunch, right? Yeah. So I get it, right? It makes a lot of sense, but I'm struggling with what Tommy asked earlier, which is, how are you going to make money from this, right? I've heard you throw out supplements, getting into fitness equipment, talking to insurance companies, talking to corporations. I feel like you're kind of throwing the net out there and hoping that maybe a fish bites on it, right? But with an early stage startup, you've got to really figure out, we're going after this specific way to get the dollars in.
Sure.
What is that? Like just one thing?
Just one thing, sure. It's direct to consumer is the route that we're going. We tried for a couple of years to go through the corporations. Corporations weren't really that interested in purchasing a product like that. They're a little bit on the tail end of the wellness movement in the corporations, and they spend a lot of money. So what we did is we pivoted about 3 months ago, where we now are utilizing the corporations and saying, hey, you don't pay anything to bring Minute Movement in. We just are looking for your blessing, and then we're utilizing the corporations as the marketing platform, direct to their employees. The employees pay. Yeah, it's for the subscription. They get a discounted subscription.
So our final question for you today is, what can we as a community do to help you?
That's a great question. I didn't think that you would ask. So, join the movement. We would love to have you guys as Minute Movers. If you are looking for a solution out there, it would be great. The other aspect that we really need is, like Matthew alluded to, is that we're looking for corporations, not-for-profits, groups that would like to bring Minute Movement in and offer it again at a discount to their people. and that would be really great. I really appreciate your time and appreciate 1 Million Cups. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. I would like to thank everybody for coming. We will be here next week with Stock Tycoon and Ticket Upgrade. See you next week.